A new survey finds 65% of middle-class Americans say they are struggling financially, and get this, that they don't anticipate a change for the rest of their lives. The poll for the Cost of Living Coalition surveyed 2,500 Americans. They found that fully two-thirds of those making over $60,000 a year, which used to be a decent wage, are struggling to pay their bills. In fact, a quarter making over $150,000 a year also worry about paying their bills, perhaps because they have a $7,000 mortgage in San Francisco and pay $30,000 to keep their kids out of the hellscape that is urban public schools. 40% of respondents said they can't plan beyond the next paycheck. They're living paycheck to paycheck, while 46% said they don't have $500 saved for an emergency. Keep in mind, these are middle-class people. In fact, 1 in 5 said the most they could cover is $100. A third feel extreme stress about their savings or ability to pay for an emergency, while a quarter worry about not being able to pay medical bills. A fifth are in extreme stress about their utility bills. It's worth noting middle-class voters are the median voters. They are the ones who decide the election. And financial responses were similar cross-party, Republicans, Democrats, and independents. Now, for decades, we've had a lot of Americans in financial stress, at least since the welfare state was rolled out to trap families in poverty. What's new is the insecurity is spreading to the middle class, who were long assumed to be immune to the ups and downs of Washington mismanagement. No longer. As for what's causing it, Bloomberg ventures a combination of interest rate hikes, which drive up debt payments, especially mortgages, together with growing debt levels, which continue to hit fresh records. Oddly enough, they failed to mention inflation, perhaps because editorial told them there's an election coming up. So not only does inflation sap the middle class with grocery bills, medical insurance, and gas costs, it drives up both the cost and the amount of debt. I've mentioned that buying a house now costs twice what it did pre-pandemic between higher rates and higher prices. And that carries through to everything, including credit cards, where you'll pay 24% on that $4,000 air conditioning unit or, do without. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained.com. Since COVID, Washington has executed a 1-2-3 punch on the American people on the scale of the 70s disaster. Starting with the lockdown clown show, they've swung the pendulum to breaking point. Now, we've already ridden the first wave of inflation. Looks like we've got another mammoth wave forming on the horizon. That inflation is now crashing into a jobs and consumer collapse that could knock us back a generation. The question is, will Americans keep taking it, or will voters finally wake up and realize Washington is out of control? So recent polling says voters are indeed turning off CNN and voting their pocketbook. Trump's odds are soaring even among core Democrat voters. Several polls have found him even or winning among young voters, among Hispanic voters, and one recent poll put Trump at 40% black support, which would be unprecedented since, about 1880. When the media wonders what hit them, it won't be the hundreds of two-minute hates they've ginned up. It'll be the millions of middle-class Americans who finally realize they are being played. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.